Hello and welcome to the Silver Screen Show, where we talk everything about movies, film and cinema. Tonight's episode we're reviewing Coco, the animated flick, as well as Three Billboards. Three Billboards by Ebbing, Missouri.
That's the full name, yeah.
Yeah, we've got our usual host, Abu, with us, and myself, Mo. So without any further ado, let's get started.
Right, let's do.
Abu, we've got a short roster today of films.
Yes.
But I think both of them are really good films.
Oh,
in fact,
both Oscar quality,
sure. In fact, Three Billboards have been named in several places as a big Oscar contender, not just for best film, but also for actors and actresses. So,
yeah, exactly.
And Coco, like you've
the usual animation storylines,
Pixar animation.
And
so
I'd put it in the main category, to be honest. I mean, obviously, it never will. It's not the Oscar bait kind of movie.
Yeah.
But let's might as well get
So let's get started with Coco, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Film directed by Lee Unkrich.
Yes, he was involved with Toy Story, Monsters Inc. and a few others, as some producers, some directors. But he's been in this Pixar business for a while.
Yeah.
So
why don't you give us a quick overview of what the film is about?
So Coco is about a young little Mexican boy named Miguel who has aspirations and dreams to be a musician, but due to his family's past, they've kind of outlawed the whole music thing, and he doesn't really believe in this, and he wants to rebel. And via turn of events, he ends up in the Land of the Dead. I forgot the name of the festival is in Mexican. But it's the Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead.
It's the Day of the Dead, I forgot the Mexican equivalent is. So he ends up in the Land of the Dead. And the base story basically follows him and his dog Dante as they, travel through this bright and colourful world. And yeah, that's pretty much it without wanting to spoil.
It sounds very grim when you say Land of the Dead. How can it be colourful?
To be honest, that's what I'm really surprised by this movie. I mean, just because it does deal with subjects such as death and grief and how to cope with people passing away. But the message that the film does have is actually very positive. So the Day of the Dead is about, in Mexican culture, it's basically about remembering people who have passed away. Yeah. And every year they believe they come back for that one day to find their meet their living counterparts. I believe. Don't quote me on that. But so this movie I think is wonderfully done. I think it's probably one of the best Pixar movies out of all of them.
It's one of the best.
I would say it's one of the best. Because remember the last Pixar movie was Cars 3, and that was a bit. So this is a return to form. I mean, what I've got is mostly all green. So I only saw it yesterday, so it's pretty fresh in my mind. First, I'll say it's such a colourful movie to look at. It's so vivid and lush. I mean, you think Land of the Dead would be very grim and dark.
That's what I
very
was
Zack Snyder, black everywhere and grey filter. But no, this is like colours, party. It's like a party atmosphere. It's very, vivid is probably the word I would say. It's just amazing to look at. I think one of the prettiest movies I've seen from Pixar.
One of the prettiest Pixar films. That's saying
the colours. The colours are very striking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd say it's got the usual Pixar charm. It's got the comedy sidekick in the dog. It's got the sing-alongs. It's got the usual.
It's got songs as well.
Of course, it's got.
It has songs,
the music is a very big theme for this film actually. So I mean, the logo is like 2 guitars. So mariachi bands, Mexican culture. So music actually plays a very important role in this movie, and as you find out through the story, it's actually very emotional. I mean, surprisingly emotional, to be honest. I mean, when you find out why the film is called Coco, it really hits you. I mean, I'm like, wow. Because I was thinking, why is this film called Coco for? It's like, because I don't know.
Let's not spoil it. Though.
Exactly, but when he finally drew in the last third, I mean, it's very powerful actually, and I was not expecting the movie to hit you that hard.
So the last third of the film is very good as well.
The last third is amazing. That's not really. I mean, the first third is a bit slow in a sense. You're not really too sure where the film is going. Like, what's happening here? Does he die and end up in Land of the Dead, or does this happen? But you're not really too sure. Like, how does the story unfold?
But it's setting the scene.
It's setting it exactly, but there's no real clear you don't really know what's going to happen exactly. So you kind of I'm not too sure what to expect.
Is it a comedy? Are there lots of comedy?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of comedy in it. I mean, there is he meets a character called Hector, who's the comedy side guy. So he's the one who guides him through the Land of the Dead as an accomplice. So he's got his own reasons. He's a skeleton guy. It's all skeletons. I mean, it could be a very morbid, topic, but it's done very well. I mean, everyone knows all skeletons are all dead, but the film does it in such a nice way. You don't really. It doesn't really show death as a bad thing. It shows you how. It's doesn't mean it says just because someone's died doesn't mean they're gone forever. As long as you remember who they are and you remember them every year, remember all the time. That's basically what the film's about. It's not about they're dead and they're gone. It's more about knowing who, respecting people and knowing who they are and what they did.
Does the story have the impact of typical the Pixar stories normally have? Because you gave the example of Cars. Terrible story. The characters are very interesting.
I don't know how Cars is free films. I think Cars just spins money.
Oh, it's because of the toy,
the
toy and merch they sell. But this one, is the story quite impactful?
The story is like
because it sounds like a more mature theme they're tackling here with grief and death.
Definitely, yeah. Because when the story starts, like in the final third, when all the plot lines start to come together and there are some revelations, it all makes sense. And it is very. It hits you very hard. Actually, I wasn't really expecting that much because. To be honest, there hasn't been very much hype on this movie. I've not really seen any.
No, I haven't heard much at all.
No promotions about it. It's been out in America for a couple of months now.
But it's made a lot of money.
Oh, it's made like 800 million already. Yeah. So the British market's probably nothing to them. But I'm just, I'm surprised by the lack of promotion anywhere. To be honest, it's not on billboards. It's not on buses.
No, I've not seen it in the underground anywhere.
Same with Moana. That also got surprisingly low key amount of promotional. So
maybe they know that UK is not a market for these kind of films. Maybe that must be the reason.
And it's also nice to see some Mexican culture. We've got that guy in US in power who doesn't really respect Mexico much at all. So it's nice to see this film, actually, Mexican culture is really great. There's a lot of nice things about it. It's not all negative.
And that's one of the nice things about these Pixar films, isn't it? Because they always focus on a different culture or a different story. Yeah, that's typical from the Pigeon Park.
Was Moana Pixar? It was, wasn't it?
Well, Disney and Pixar are both the same company.
That looked at Polynesian culture. It brings these different cultures into perspective. Because Coco doesn't really have a selling point. It's not really like you see Monsters Inc., you know what that's about. You see Cars, you know what that's about. You see Finding Dory, you know what that is about. With this one, I think you have to watch it to really get it. You can't really explain to them.
Right.
The best I could say is it's a kid that goes on a journey.
Is it the kind of films that adults will enjoy as well?
Adults will love it.
I think
that's like the final third. Adults will probably find more emotional than kids because it deals with death and grief. It's something an adult would, understand more.
You've told us why the film is so good. Are there any points that you didn't like in the film?
Yeah, so what I've got here is I can't really say much against it, to be honest. It is a very well made film. The music's great, the picture, it looks great, the storyline's great. But if I could say something, is that first third is a bit slow to get going. I'm kind of like thinking, okay, when is it gonna kind of kick off?
Die already?
When is this gonna happen? When is it gonna get into second, third gear? But that's just, as you said, it's building up a storyline and background. So, and because the second 2/3 make up for it more than enough. So you can't really say against. And probably, this is more of a personal thing. Like if you like a villain in a storyline, if you like an antagonist, this really doesn't have. It has a slight antagonist, but it's not a massive one. Okay. And there really isn't any of that kind of angle to it. So if you like a film where you like a clear protagonist, antagonist, dynamic. Right. This film doesn't really have it in that sense. So
we were complaining about Jumanji, that Jumanji had a irrelevant or unnecessary
exactly.
Whereas this one,
they didn't. In Jumanji, I felt they added it just for the sake of adding it. Where it could have worked with it. But here, it doesn't really have one. So I'm just saying, if someone wants a movie with,
if someone is going with that expectation.
Yeah, like if you're expecting like there to be like Miguel as a good guy and there's some evil force being, there's none of that involved. There is slightly, but it's more of a side story. But apart from that, it's really too fresh in my mind to criticize. Right. And I think it's a great film. I think it's definitely should get an Oscar for.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Best animated flick.
What else was out this year? I can't really think of anything.
No, neither can I. What else was this year? I can't remember what better animated films I've watched.
Disney? Last year was very strong. You had Kubo, you had Moana, you had Zootropolis.
Finding Dory as well.
Finding Dory this year.
Last year was a very strong year.
I honestly can't remember. I'm trying to think. There must be one movie we can put.
Let me look it up.
Do not use IMDb. It's like, what? There must be another Pixar movie.
Animated films 2017. Well, these days of Marvel, everyone goes for these high-budget action flicks. But you had something called Captain. Oh, you have Lego Batman film.
Lego
Batman film. Yeah. That was a good film.
Lego Batman film was fun, but
that was a strong one.
Yeah.
And you obviously had Boss Baby. I actually did not watch that.
Apparently, it's not too bad, but
so I didn't realize this, but you had the Lego Batman film as well as the Lego Ninjago movie last year, 2017. I thought Ninjago wasn't as good a film.
Batman was great, but I think Coco has a far more emotional punch to it. So
hopefully it does win it.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I can say for that.
Would you recommend people go watch it?
Definitely.
That
You love
definitely
it.
sounded
I'll
like
say
it.
definitely. I mean, I really enjoyed it because I really went in with not much expectation because obviously I've not seen, like I said, there's not been much about it
Yeah.
around in general. So I thought, let me go and see it. I've heard a lot about it. It's been out for a few months.
Yeah.
Big buzz in America, but I'll say definitely go check it out. You'll love it.
Sounds good. That wraps the first review. Our next review is